Good afternoon, folks. One sober to another. I'm Wayne, and I'm an alcoholic. Today's daily reflection for 7 December 2020. True ambition. Let's go.
Nah, man. Not quite finished yet.
All right, folks. I hope you had a good day. Let's go ahead and get into this. Today's daily reflection. True ambition. True ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is the deep desire to live usefully and walk humbly under the grace of God. And if God's not your thing, folks, replace it with the higher power of your choice. But for me, it's God. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 124 and 125. During my drinking years, my one and only concern was to have my fellow man think highly of me. My ambition in everything I did was to have the power to be at the top. My inner self kept telling me something else, but I couldn't accept it. I didn't even allow myself to realize that I wore a mask continually. Finally, when the mask came off and I cried out to the only God I could conceive, the fellowship of AA, my group, and the 12 steps was there. I learned how to change resentments into acceptance, fear into hope, and anger into love. I have learned also, through loving without undue expectations, through sharing my concerns and caring for my fellow man, that each day can be joyous and fruitful. I begin and end my day with thanks to God, who has so generously shed his grace upon me. Or her, depending on how you see it. True ambition, folks. I used to live my every drunken moment thinking that I was the most important thing on this planet. I didn't care about anyone, and I didn't bother myself with anybody else's concerns. As a matter of fact, I did what I could to get at the top of my game. My food chain and my career and every progressible moment was the only important thing for me. I didn't give a doo-doo about anybody. As a matter of fact, I was pretty much the best sergeant that I thought I was in the United States Army. I did everything in every waking moment to make people see that. And I didn't go around just saying I'm the greatest. I proved that I was the greatest because I strived for it. That same token, as I did what I could to be the best I could at every single thing that I did. That could be Army physical fitness, that could be shooting at the range, leading soldiers. I did it all at the top of my game. And then I went home and I got freaking hammered. And I did this every single night. As a matter of fact, in the video that I shot, What Mask We Wear, I described exactly what I go through on a daily basis when I was in the Army. And when I was in my drinking height, I did everything so excellently the way I could so that nobody would know how much I was drinking. And they wouldn't know that I was freaking shit-faced every day that I went home. And I had to work hard to do that. And a lot of us out there, and a lot of you out there, you know what it's like to put on a mask every single day that you go to work, act like a true professional, act like you got your crap together, and act like nothing is wrong in your life. And then when you go home, get tanked over it and pass out and hope that you don't do something stupid that night or get arrested or kill somebody. And then you go back to work and you do it again. Or you go back to whatever it is that you are great at. Because a lot of us are professionals and a lot of our ambition is to be at the top. And what we realize when we take that mask off is that there's nothing but an empty shell walking around. And that is some reality kick. And once that reality kicks in, what do we do as alcoholics and addicts? We numb the hell out of it and we get drunk and we get high and we run away from it as much as possible and do dumb stuff and everything else. And then we put that mask back on once we come out of it and we go back to work or back to whatever just to do it again the next night. And a lot of you out there can relate to that, and I know you can. And what I want is some comments below, because someone else is going to benefit from what you have to say about this. True ambition is this for me. In my sobriety, true ambition is to wake up, thank God for my sobriety. And God might not be your thing, folks, and AA might not be your thing. But you can utilize the same principles and be able to thank your higher power or thank whatever is keeping you sober for your sobriety, and not to have that obsession of alcohol or drugs in your life anymore, and be able to be the best person that you can be and be able to give that to somebody else. In here it says, I didn't even allow myself to realize that I wore a mask continually. I personally, I was in the firm belief that I was the most awesome sergeant in the United States Army. I was in the firm belief that I was the best instructor, the best recruiter, the best leader of soldiers. And I did not even allow myself to believe that it was a mask. I thought that was my true identity. When I was in rehab, they had to pretty much take me out of uniform because that's all I could identify with. And when they did that, I was in like disbelief. When I was sitting in normal clothing, I was like, who the hell is this guy right here? Did it to not only me, but to one other guy, and his name was Bill, William. And he and I would look at each other like, why did they take us out of uniform? It's because we had this impossible crisis to where we couldn't separate being an NCO or being a sergeant in the United States Army from the fact that we were a broken alcoholic, you know? So we could not get away from those identities, and the only way to make that happen was to pull us away from it. Once we realized that, we knew that there was only one thing that could help us find our identity and find our true self, and that was sobriety. And that was to gain the tools in order to recover or be a recovering alcoholic or addict, and be able to be comfortable with who we really are. And that is not, the sergeant in the United States Army. That's our occupation, that's our profession, but that's not exactly who we were and who we are. He and I both, his son was Tyler and mine was Noah. And we used to talk about that all the time, because not only did we have that in common, but we also had the fact that we were sergeants in the U.S. Army, and we both had problems with alcohol. And so that's where he and I connected. And we connected because our higher power actually brought us together. And that was for a true purpose. And I would even put that with, he was in my group. He was in my Alcoholics Anonymous. He was in my 12-step program. And he was also in my rehab facility. We were put there on purpose. And I think that was an amazing thing. And he is an amazing dude. And I hope he sees this, but I'm not sure. I've learned also through loving without undue expectations, through sharing my concerns and caring for my fellow man. What can I say, folks? What can I say? I just checked the camera. I'm sorry about that. What can I say about that? Without undue expectations. You know what? I share and I give, and I don't expect anything from you, and I don't expect anything from anybody around me. I have learned to be okay with, this is me, and I'm sharing me with you. And I've learned to give freely of myself without wanting anything in return. As a matter of fact, my son is starting to pick up that characteristic, and I think that's awesome. I learned to, be concerned for my fellow man. When I was in my drinking height, and when I did it again, and when I was locked inside myself, I could care less about the person left or right of me. Really. And if you think about it, and if you could think back in your drinking history or your drug history, who did you really care about? I don't know, yourself. And that's what our brain did and does, is that people are survivalists. Their number one concern is them, right? Self-survival. And as a recovering alcoholic or addict, I know that I have to be able to give freely of myself to you and to everyone else around me without expectations. And I also care about people, which is awkward because I never did that before. And I care about how somebody feels. I care if I hurt their feelings. I care if I'm able to help somebody and I'm in a position to do it, I'm going to do it. And that's only because, in my sobriety, I've learned that is probably the best way to show that you are able to be compassionate and able to show love and able to show affection. And unlike everything I did in my drinking history, the gracious things in my sobriety that I am grateful for. And what do? Each day, I begin and end it with thanking my higher power for my sobriety and thanking my higher power for my health and for what I have versus what can I get. You know what I mean? And, there's so much that could be said about this. And I'm just not going to ramble, but I am going to say true ambition is not what we thought it was. True ambition is the deep desire to live usefully and walk humbly under the grace of my higher power. Feel me on that, folks? If you do, hit that like button and share this video with somebody who might need it. I hope I didn't ramble too much, folks. That's today's daily reflection. Life's a garden, dig it. And guess what? I am going to be shooting that video, One Soldier to Another. I just wanted to take a little time so I could do it right and set the right environment and hopefully get a guest. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I think it might be good for you folks anyway. So I am going to be shooting that and you should be seeing that this week. Life's a garden, dig it. I'm Wayne. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.